What's up, guys? I'm Travis, and you're watching our upgraded SCX6 Trail Honcho build series. Come on! Come on! Welcome back, everyone. We're up to video number 3 now of our upgraded SCX6 Trail Honcho build series. On the first 2 videos, we were addressing some of the issues or small problems that Axial left us with. Number 1 being the frame had a lot of flex in it and was really weak. So we went ahead and replaced all the plastic frame bracing with Vitavon aluminum bracing as well as the servo tray. Now, guys, that helped out a lot. That made a world of difference. 2 thumbs up all day long on that upgrade. Now, video number 2, we were addressing the foam inside of the tires that they left us with. It's super soft. I mean, while it was sitting here, guys, it looked like I had 4 flat tires. So I wanted to beef up the foam a little bit so we could get better side hilling capabilities, and it worked out really well. We went ahead and put some Crazy Crawler Extreme Plus foam inside of these Super Swamper tires and wrapped them around some Vision wheels. Now, there wasn't anything wrong with the Falcon Wild Peak tires. We got pretty good traction out of them, but I wanted to upgrade to the Super Swampers to get the maximum amount of traction I could get, especially with the terrain that we have around here. The foam worked out pretty good as well. Now, I'd like to say I did a good comparison on this, but the first time I took this truck out for the first run, we had stock everything, and it was 55 degrees, and everything was dry. Now, after I put these tires and wheels on here, we went out, and it was 31 degrees the next day, and it had snowed the night before, so all the ground and rock, everything was covered in snow. So it was kind of hard to get a good comparison, but I told you guys I'd tell you what I thought of it. So here we go. The Super Swampers were awesome. Even being packed completely with snow and mud, they got around great. Really, really good traction. Now, as far as the foam goes, when the side hilling was awesome. This foam held up so much better. I mean, it looks like your tires are completely inflated. We were coming down the hill. Now, due to it being 31 degrees outside, I believe it was very cold for the foams. The foams weren't able to compress hardly nothing at all. I was looking for a little bit more out of it for some better traction. On the side hilling, like I said, it was awesome. Traction on the rocks and stuff. I believe when it gets warmer and when we add more weight to this, because we're only at 27 3/4 pounds right now. This comes stock at 25. After all the accessories on here, we're probably going to be pushing around 40. Now, the Crazy Crawler foam is rated for 43 pounds, so I believe that once we get more accessories on there and the weather gets warmer, it will compress more. But even being with all the snow and stuff out there, guys, I was very impressed with the traction I got, and it is way better than stock. So today's video, number 3, we're going to take care of another issue that Axial left us with. And I'm sure if you guys have taken your cover off and shifted your first and second gear shifter, you've noticed that there is a lot of play in that shift servo, which is not good. It's not good for any of the gears in the servo. It's not good for the shift arm. It's not good for anything, and we're losing performance there. So we're going to go ahead and replace the plastic shift servo mount with the Vitavon aluminum mount. Now, I'm expecting that to take care of a lot of the flex, but not all of it. I mean, we're mounting this aluminum mount to a plastic transmission, so there's still going to be a little bit of flex. Once we get our aluminum transmission in here and we are still using this aluminum mount, I believe all of it will be gone. But today we're going to get rid of as much as we can so we can try to save that servo and get a little bit better performance out of it. The other thing is, guys, I really want to get rid of the DX3 Spectrum radio. I'm going to replace that with my DX5 Rugged, which I love. There are so many more adjustments on there that we can do. There's so many more things we can do, and the performance level is through the roof. So today we'll go ahead and replace that mount. We'll switch out our DX3 to our DX5 Rugged, and I'll show you guys how to set it all up so everything's good. We're all on the same page. Eventually I will be adding a servo winch to this, as well as four-wheel steering, which we cannot do at all with the DX3. So we might as well just switch it out right now to the DX5 because I love that radio anyway. Guys, stay tuned. So we'll go ahead and start today by replacing our shift servo mount with the Vitavon aluminum shift servo mount, which comes with the mount and also the 2 Allens to bolt it to your transmission. Now, as always, guys, with all of my videos, I will leave a link to all of the parts and everything I used in the description. That way you guys can go look up the link, you can see where I got it from, how much it cost, you can look at reviews, whatever works for you. All of my videos will have links in the description to everything I use. So we're going to start today. I'm going to go ahead and take this cover off. You guys do not need to take this cover off to do the upgrades we're going to do today. You could just open it up and prop it up with a stick or something, and you'll be able to do everything. I'm going to take the cover all the way off so that I can get better camera angles for you guys, which will give you a better view and you can see what I'm doing. There we go. All right, so I went ahead and threw a battery in here. I'm going to turn it on now so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. There it goes. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and shift from first to second gear. Watch all the play we have in the servo mount. You see that, guys? That is excessive. That servo mount should not be moving at all, and you can physically see right here, you can see the mount is going up and down. The servo is actually pretty tight in the mount. So we're going to go ahead and put that aluminum mount on there and see how much of this flex we can get rid of. Now this should be a super simple, really easy and quick upgrade, guys. I'm hoping we can just remove the 4 Allens that are holding the servo to the servo mount and then be able to just flop the servo out of the way for a second while we get to the other 2 Allens that are holding the servo mount to the transmission. And then replace it all and put it right back. It should be very painless. Got those 4 out of the way. Let's see how well this is going to work out now. We're just going to try to move this out of the way here. Oh yeah, that looks like that's going to work out just fine. Okay, so now we are after these 2 Allens right here that hold this mount to the transmission. There we go. Beautiful Vitavon aluminum 7075. Now I told you guys that it came with the 2 Allens here to go ahead and mount this mount to the transmission. It looks like it also came with the 4 Allens here so that you can mount your servo to this mount as well. There we go. Feels pretty good there. All right, got our servo all mounted back down nice and snug. Let's turn our car back on. There we go. Let's see what the result was here, guys. Oh wow, look at that. That took almost all of it out. I'm pretty impressed, even being mounted to the plastic, guys. Look at this mount right here. There is almost nothing. So next we'll go ahead and get our radio switched out. Now we're going to start by removing this cover right here. That's going to give us access to our receiver. There is an Allen right here in the front, and there are 2 more in the back that attach to this bracket. 1 right here and 1 right here. So we'll take those off and get rid of the cover. Okay, there we go. That takes care of the cover and gives us access to the receiver. So this is what we're after right here, guys, is this button right here on the receiver. This is our bind button. Now, if you have an older receiver, you might have a bind plug that you're going to have to use to complete this process. However, we are lucky enough with the SR515, it comes with a bind button, which makes it really easy. Now let's go ahead and jump over to our radio. We're going to set up a couple things on that, and then we'll come back to the receiver. Now guys, I know this is a DX5 Rugged. I always keep all my radios in a case. Number 1, it keeps your settings from being changed on you when you don't know about it. And number 2, it's just another added layer of protection while your case is in the back of the truck getting bounced around. Now guys, I've already went ahead and put my model into this radio as well as named the model. But I'm going to go ahead and focus the camera on the screen, and I'm going to walk you guys through it for anybody who doesn't know how to do that, and then we'll get on with the rest of the process. Okay, so once you get your radio all fired up, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit OK, and we're going to jump into our menu. Once in the menu, we're going to come down here to Model Select, hit OK, and then you can see right here I've already got the SCX6 in here, but if you didn't, or if you wanted to add a new model, which by the way, this radio will hold up to 20 models, we're going to come down here to where it says New Model, go ahead and click OK on that. There we go. Now, on the new model, it says right here, do you want to add a new model? So come down to Create, hit OK. Now we've just created that model and it took us back to this menu. We're still on Model Select, so go ahead and hit OK on that again. There you go. Now you can see underneath the SCX6 it says number 4 New Model. So that's great, we've got it in there, but we don't want to leave that for the name. So we'll go ahead and get out of that, and we're going to come down one more to where it says Model Name and select that. Now you can come down here to any character you want to. See how we're underneath number 4 right now? And you would hit OK. And then you can go ahead and you can scroll through any of these here and go ahead and change this to whatever letters, numbers, whatever you want. You can name it anything you want to. It's kind of like doing stuff on your cell phone or your tablet. Once you get the hang of it, it's not really that big of a deal, guys. So we'll click on SCX6. That's the model we want. Now you can see at the very top right here, when you get out of all your menus, it says SCX6 at the top. So that's what we're going to be running. That's what we're going to bind to. Now we're going to get back into our menu again, and we're going to come all the way down until we get to Bind and Frame, which is right there. Hit Select. Okay, now we're in our Bind menu. You'll notice at the top right here it says frame rate 11 ms. Now 11 ms is the fastest frame rate you can get. This is the best response time for the servos. You also have the ability to go to 16 ms or 22 ms, being slower response times. So if you have a newer servo and receiver that are DSMR, you're good to go. If you have an older servo or receiver that won't accept 11 ms, then you'll have to switch it to a slower response time. How do you know? Well, if you set it to 11 ms, which is the fastest one, like I said, and your servo is tweaking a little bit, or it's a little bit sketchy, or maybe it doesn't work at all, then you might have to go ahead and change your frame rate to a lower response time to get it to work properly. So we're going to set ours to 11 ms because I know everything on the SCX6 is already DSMR, so we're good to go there. So we're going to go ahead and come down now until we get to Bind. Right there. Now, we're going to go ahead and wait a minute. We're going to go back to the receiver and set that up so that when we're ready to bind, we can hit the button and the process will be complete. Now we're back over to our receiver here. You're going to want to have a fully charged battery in your car, hooked up, ready to go with your car off. Do not turn it on yet. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hold this button down on our receiver and then turn the car on at the same time while we're holding down this button. Now what that's going to do, see if I let go of that, now our receiver is blinking orange. It's not bound with anything right now. So next, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to come back over here to our radio, and then we're going to go ahead and hit bind. Now it's binding. It says binding on here, DSMR, news telemetry, everything is going through. Now you will notice that our orange light in the receiver that was blinking is now solid orange, so we are ready to go and it is all set up. So let's go ahead and check here to make sure we're bound up correctly. We've got our steering. Now you notice you can hear the motor going when I pull the trigger for the throttle, but nothing is happening. Reason why is because this does not know that we have a shift motor in the back here, and the servo is not set up for that yet. So we're going to have to set the endpoints on this servo as well as select a switch for it on the radio to make that work. So to get our shift servo to work here and adjust the endpoints correctly, we're going to have to go into the menu on the radio and select travel, and then take both the travel amounts down to 0 for this servo. That is very, very important, guys. If you leave this at 100% and go ahead and select your switch and then try using the switch, well, your servo is programmed to 100%. So it's going to take your servo arm and move it 100% as far as it goes, which is way more than we need. What's going to happen is you're going to put strain on your gears, possibly break a gear in the servo, possibly break the shift arm. So we do not want that. We don't want to max out the servo or minimize the servo. We want it correct in the right spot. So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to go back into our menu again, and we're going to come down this time until we get to travel. Go ahead and hit OK. It takes us into the travel menu. Now, I know that our shift servo is plugged into the receiver in the auxiliary number 1 port. So that's the one we're going to want to go to. We're going to come down here until we get to auxiliary number 1 right there. We're going to click on that. Now we're going to go ahead and take all of the settings here for, it would be the left and the right or the high and the low, however you want to look at it. We're taking both of these down to 0. It doesn't have to be all the way down to 0, but the closer you get, the better, so that we don't do any damage. Okay, so to set the endpoints on this servo, we're going to have to assign a switch to it. That way the radio knows which switch we're setting the endpoints on. Now, you're going to want to go ahead and get back in your menu and then come back down until you see auxiliary assign. Go ahead and click on that. Now we're in the auxiliary assign menu. You're going to come down here to your channel, and you can scroll through this back and forth and select whichever channel you want to. We know that our servo is plugged into auxiliary number 1 on the receiver, so that is the channel we're going to select. Then go ahead and come down here to input. It says inhibit. Now guys, this is really dumb. Inhibit is another word for off. So anything on this whole radio and any of the menus, if you see inhibit, that means that that is turned off. So what we're going to do is select on that, and we're going to go ahead and assign a switch. Now there's many switches on here you can use. I want to use switch F. I'll go ahead and show you guys here in a little bit all the switches that you have, but I prefer switch F for what we're doing here for the shifter. So we're coming up to F. I'm going to select that. Now I'm coming down here. You see where it says mode? We have 3 position available, we have linear, and we also have 2 position. Now you're going to want to select 2 position for this shift servo, trust me. We're not going to want a neutral on it. We're going to want to be either in first gear or second gear dedicated. And we also do not want this monetary on down here where it says active, because then we would hold the switch on and it would shift to second gear. As soon as we let go of the switch, it would shift back to first. For some of you guys doing something special, that might be great for you. For us, I want to know which gear I'm in, and I want it to stay in that gear until I switch it again. So we're going to go ahead and select that. Oops. We're going to select that. We're going to put inhibit, which is off. Now we're going back up to the cyclic here. It says inhibit. So let me show you guys what this does. I'm going to go ahead and point the camera at the bottom of the servo so you can see when I flip my switch what's happening if we do not use cyclic or monetary. Let me go up here. Okay, so we've got our car on. I'm going to go ahead and hit switch F so you guys can see what's doing with cyclic inhibited or off and monetary inhibited or off. Here we go. Now, if I go one direction, it shifts in that direction to whichever selection I've chosen. If I go back the other way, it goes back the other way. So it is simple. It's either first gear or second gear. That's it. Let me go back to the radio so I can show you something else here. Now, if we take our cyclic here and we get out of inhibit and we go to active and select on that, oops, sorry, and come back down, select on active. Now let me show you what's going to happen with the servo arm. So now with the cyclic activated and monetary off, and I hit my switch F, it switches back and forth with me pushing the switch in the same exact direction. I do not have the forward and backward on the switch anymore. I can go in one direction either way I want to, and it will just switch. So maybe it's easier for you just to hit that button and you know you're going into the other gear. So now, just for the hell of it, guys, let me go ahead and I'll take the cyclic off. We're going to inhibit that. There we go. We're going to go down to monetary, and I'm going to turn that on, active. Now let me show you what this does when I hold my switch. So with the cyclic off or inhibited and the monetary active, this is what's going to happen. As you hit the switch F right here, it's going to go ahead and put it into whichever gear you've selected. If it's first or second gear, you can do it either way. As you let off of F, it automatically goes back to the other gear. So you're not dedicated to one gear or the other. It is only shifting to the gear that you're not in when you hold F, and then it goes right back. Now this isn't a very good application for what I'm trying to do, so I think we will be going back to cyclic inhibit or off, and as well the monetary inhibited or off, so that we can just use our 2-position switch and we have a dedicated first and second gear that will remain in that gear until we hit the switch in the other direction. So another thing, guys, here I'd like to mention that I was just talking about. Say you select your switch and you push the switch forward and it goes into second gear, but when you push the switch forward, you wanted it to go into first gear. All you have to do is get back in your menu and scroll until you get to reverse, and then go ahead and select that. Now you can scroll down to auxiliary 1 right here and see how it says normal. All you have to do is select reverse, and then it will flip your switch the other direction, so that now when you flip your F switch forward, it'll go into the first gear that you wanted instead of second, or vice versa. That's up to you guys, and it's a personal preference, whatever you want. Okay, I hope I didn't confuse anybody by doing this. There are a lot of options here. That's one of the reasons why it shows this radio, and I just wanted you guys to be aware of all the options there are so that you can pick the option that works best for you. Well, now that we know all this, let's go ahead and set our endpoints. So we're going back to the menu and back to travel, and we're going to hit OK. There we go. And we're going to scroll down until we hit auxiliary number 1. Now you'll notice both of these parameters are not lit up anymore like they were before. Now we have one parameter lit up separately by itself, so to speak. So I have chosen switch F. You guys can choose whichever one you want to, but now when I put my switch F into either position, either forward or back, what it's going to do is it's going to select a parameter for me. There's one, there's the other. So when I select the one I want, go ahead and hit OK, and now I can scroll up or down and I can set this parameter to whatever I want. After I'm done with that, I'm just going to go ahead and flip the switch the other direction, and then I can adjust that parameter so that we're adjusting first gear until it engages just right and doesn't go too far. And we're also selecting second gear and setting the parameters for that so that it engages perfectly and doesn't go too far either. Okay, so we'll go ahead and turn our car on here, and we'll pull our throttle trigger in, and once again you can hear the motor, but we have no tires spinning. So we're just going to go ahead and we'll select that F, and then we're going to go ahead and go up or down to increase until we get what we want. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to, let's just go to 30 to try it out here. Okay, there is 30. Now let's see if we have anything going on. I still have nothing going on there. So we're going to go ahead and go up. Let's go to 40. Now we have second gear. I've taken that parameter to 40 and that gave us second gear, no problems. So let's go ahead and see. Let me go just a little bit further here and see how far I can go here before it looks like we're maxing out the shaft. Looks like I can go quite a ways before we max out the shaft. It did engage in 40, so let's just go ahead and go back to 50. There's 50. Let me try it. Okay, that works really good there. If we hit F in the other direction, we still have nothing because that's only at 9. So let's go ahead and take that parameter up. We're going to go to 40 here, or actually, let's go to 30. We'll go to 30. and it looks like 30 does engage into first gear. Let me see how much further I can go before the shaft is out of room here. Wow, we can go quite a ways here. So, you know what? Let's just go to 50 and let's try that out. So there's 50. I've got first gear. We'll go the other way. That's at 50 as well. I have second gear. So I'm pretty happy with that. I went just enough until it engaged the gear, and then I went ahead and went another 10% more, and that was not enough to push the shaft in and destroy it, or pull it out and destroy it, or ruin any gears or put any stress on our servos. So for me, I believe 50% on both the parameters is going to be correct for this. If this ever changes, you do anything, or you're someplace and it doesn't work, all you gotta do is go back into your travel and adjust your parameters a little bit more. All right, that worked out really good for setting the parameters on our shift servo. Now we're gonna go ahead and do exactly the same thing for the steering. We're gonna set our endpoints. So what you're gonna do here, and you don't have a switch to push to find your parameter now, how are you gonna do it? Easy. You turn your steering wheel. This is now the switch. So you turn your steering wheel all the way to the right, it's gonna light up that parameter. Go ahead and set your endpoints, and then you're gonna turn it all the way to the left to light up that parameter, and then set the value for those endpoints as well. Now what we're looking here for, guys, is we wanna turn our tire as far to the left as we can until it looks like it's gonna hit the frame or the shock or whatever's in the way that's gonna hit first. We wanna take it right to the point where it's about to hit but doesn't, and then we're gonna back it off about 5-10 notches to make sure that this doesn't hit. Like, say we're crawling and we've got our tire wedged up against a rock, it's all bound up. It's gonna push your tire over a little bit more until it hits the frame. We don't want that. We wanna maintain that little gap, that little bit of room there, so our tire never hits anything while we're at full turn. But we do wanna set the endpoints as far as we can go so we have a full range of motion. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now exactly like we did before to both sides. So once you get your steering endpoints set up, you're going to need to adjust your steering trim again so that your vehicle goes straight, because as you adjust your endpoints left and right, it's definitely going to kick the steering off. So B right here is set by default from the factory as your steering trim. So you can go ahead and turn this back and forth here and just kind of set the truck up and eyeball it so that you can see how close your steering is, and get it as close as you can by eyeballing it, and then go find yourself a flat, long piece of concrete that you can get on and drive as straight as possible, and just go ahead and you can adjust your steering trim here until you get that nice and straight. I like to find a piece of concrete that's got a control joint in it. Most of them do, and you can run right down that control joint and keep it nice and straight and adjust this as you need to make it perfect. Well, all right, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. I can't believe that that aluminum mount that we put on there for the shift servo took up all that flex. I mean, I was expecting it to help out a lot, but it took almost all of it out. I'm very impressed with that. That was a great upgrade for sure. Definitely going to save our servo gears and that shift arm for sure. And then we went to the DX5 Rugged. What a great radio. That's going to make this so much more enjoyable to run down the trails. And guys, if we have to, we can stop and make an adjustment out in the field. It's so easy, no big deal at all once you learn how to use it. And like I said, I'm going to be putting a winch on here as well as rear steer. The DX5 Rugged comes with a full-blown mixing menu. So I can have rear steer, I can have crab walk, I can do just about whatever I want to. And the way that we set up parameters with the travel here today, guys, you can do that with anything. You can do that with the brakes as well. Pretty much anything you want to, you can set it up the way you want it to be. Well, that's about it, guys. I think I'm going to go run this around, have some fun, get some more video for you guys until the next video comes out, which is going to be right around the corner real soon. And I'm not positive, but I think we're going to be changing out the servo in here. I've been pushing this servo pretty hard for the stock servo, and everybody's complained about it breaking. It's held up pretty good for me. Cross my fingers. I'd like to take that servo out and put it in a light duty truck that I have so that it'll be fine and won't be pushing the limits of it no more. And we'll go ahead and throw that Power Hobby 2,000 ounce servo in here. Guys, I'm Travis. You're watching Upgraded RC. Peace out.